the nightmare of the school system. Let's talk about that. Welcome everyone. My name is Alma Valentino. I'm the host of my channel, Let's Talk About That, where I try to talk about kind of everything that's going on out there, that it's political and controversial and sometimes hard to talk about because this woke movement is trying to cancel everyone that is trying to put logic and reason out in this world. So let's fight together and talk about this. So the nightmare of the school system, what are we teaching to kids? And that's a true, a truly innocent question. What are we teaching to kids? Like, what's the curriculum on your country? This is something I think we are not talking about enough. I think that somewhere in the way, there is a generation that totally lost contact with the school system, with teachers, with and beyond teachers, because nowadays I see some I'm containing myself not to insult these people because I'm trying to keep this clean, but these clowns, and literally, because if I used to be a critical thinking teacher, and never, ever would I have had permission to go to school and teach kids with blue hair, a pierced nose, eyebrow, lips, full-on makeup, rainbow makeup, and teach them my opinions, my sexuality, my story. It was like you wouldn't talk about these things with kids. They were your students, not your friends. They are not your friends, and they are not your kids. And even though that I used to teach critical thinking, I wasn't teaching my opinions. I would share sometimes, if it mattered, my opinion, but I wasn't teaching it. I was teaching how to do research, how to question everything, and I would put out there some subjects and books and stuff so that we could deconstruct them. But I wasn't teaching kids all of the things that we're seeing today. And I was teaching from 13 to 17 years old. So I cannot even imagine that I wouldn't have dared to share my life, my sexuality, my opinions on those subjects. I cannot imagine, and I certainly cannot understand how parents are letting these clowns teach 5, 6, 10-year-olds about sex, about, first of all, it's not your place. Second of all, it's not like we're talking about the reproductive system. We're talking about homosexuality, transgender, that gender is a social construction. A 10-year-old is not going to understand. Like, you cannot teach Marxism to a 10-year-old. How are you going to teach that sexuality and gender, and gender identity is a social construction? That's brainwashing. That kid is not understanding anything. It's just going to repeat. And you can see them because now that they're 12, 13, they're out there screaming. And those that are now at campuses are just like, if you say anything against what they believe, they go crazy and just stand up and go. If they're not going to try to literally attack you, they just stand up and remove from the situation because they are actually unable to debate. Which makes me wonder, what are you teaching to kids? And it also worries me, as I said, how the parents are so a lacking figure, like they're not present, they're not interested. And if you are and you're like afraid, why are you afraid of a teacher? That's your kid. I don't have kids, but if I had one, you wouldn't want to know what I would be capable of, because I have a dog, and the moment I had him and I fell in love with him, I just discovered a whole new dark side of myself. Just because I didn't know I was able of this I wasn't capable, sorry, of this amount and profound love, that when it hit me, I was like, oh, there is a dark side that comes with this. I could kill, literally. Just try me. So I cannot imagine how that would be multiplied with your children, and you're just letting this happen. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. Young people, young parents that should have a lot of fucks to give, and they just don't. And it's just, I'm amazed by that. But let's go back to education. If you have knowledge about this, comment down below. I don't think that sharing my knowledge about Chile now is important, but if you are interested and you want to know, leave a comment and I will go back to that to make maybe a paragon between what you might share, or maybe give you pardon me, a baseline of what I believe education should be. And I'm saying all of this because from my perspective, and I know I'm far away and everything, but again, you're exporting so much, so fast, so constantly, that it's just impossible not to see these things. To me, right now, your schools are just a political, economical tool to brainwash children, which I said before, it's scary because that's what Nazis used to do. And you don't have to believe me. Please don't believe me. Please don't take my word on that. Google it. Because they did that, among other stuff. Like, Hitler would spend a lot of money and time and resources making films, political films, brainwashing. If you didn't know this, when the Statians end the war, like they got to Germany and everything that happened, at a point they took Germans to see the camps because they didn't believe that was true. They were so brainwashed with this propaganda that they actually believed it wasn't true. And you guys, at a time, very reasonably, were like, no, you're coming with me. You're gonna see what you did. Not to bring that up, but it's like I'm seeing it happen, and it's like, if you were just a little bit more educated, you would see it too. And when I say you, I'm talking about the woke, I'm talking about this left-wing radical, because that's what it is. It's radical left-wing that is very uneducated and apparently wants everyone else to be just as uneducated as they are. And that's very detrimental because you have already capitalism that doesn't want you to be very smart and well educated, because that's not translating into labor. So now you're just leveling down, This kid doesn't know how to do this. Oh, okay, so we're gonna level everyone else down so he doesn't feel bad. That's what you're doing. This pity, this petty construction that you're selling, like, oh, but poor kids. Like, no, you should level up. You should take that kid and teach him. That's why you're a teacher. to help him get to the level he should be at, not take everyone else down. And so here I'm wondering how schools became this political propaganda economic tool. and how apparently Statians are so blind to this happening right now. So I wanted to share briefly what happened in my country. So please go and Google the Chilean Penguin Revolution. Why is it called the Penguin Revolution? Because, as I said before, we wear uniforms, right? Not every school, like maybe very, very rich schools, they didn't, but most schools had uniforms. So thousands of kids said, you know what? This is enough. In this country, education is a fucking business, and that's not right. I want to have the same resources that the rich kids do. And what do I mean? I know I'm not gonna have a football or a basketball or field or two pools and horses, and okay, I'm not gonna have that. It's okay. I can exercise, but I want the base line to be the same. I want to know just much biology as he does. I want to know just much chemistry as he does. I want to know history, language, music. I want to get the same education. Education should be a right for everyone and not a business. Because in my country, it really became a business. And so all of these kids came out with their uniforms, which were mostly blue like this or black, you know, the jumper with the shirt and the tie, and so they look like penguins. That's why it was called the Penguin Revolution. I was there. And it's amazing how it wasn't a parents thing. It was kids, teenagers. They would go out like at 4 a.m. in the morning and take the schools, all of them, and just, you know, lock them and put all the chairs and the tables, you know, and so nobody could go in. And they say like, this is, we're done until you give us education. I'm not gonna say that everything was solved and they lived happily ever after. No, we have a lot of problems. But what am I saying here? We didn't go out, because I was there. I was a penguin there. And we didn't go out demanding quotas. Because we have that too. We have in Santiago, which is the capital, you have the river, the Mapocho River, that divides the city in two. And in one side you have the poor people, and on the other side you have the rich people. If you believe in the middle class, it would be like poor, like really poor, middle class, the river, middle class, really rich. I mean, middle class, slightly poor, middle class, slightly richer, but and actually in one side, you know, in the poor side of the city, of the capital, you have the cemeteries and the industries and all of this shit, and most of descending, like indigenous people or people who descend from indigenous are from that side of the city, right? And they're poor. And you wouldn't hear them saying, we want quotas for the poor, we want quotas for the middle class, for the universities, for example, we want quotas for the indigenous, we want quotas for the Mapuches, and we want quotas for this and that. No. It was, we want education that will guarantee me that when I take the test to go and try to get into university, I'm going to have the same possibility as someone who graduated from a very rich school. Because my success is not going to be determined by how much money do I have, but the knowledge that I acquire in these years. And that's why it's so important that we have quality education for everyone. Equality of education for everyone. And not just education, good quality education. So I throw that there just for you to think about that, just for you to see how maybe other countries are fighting this problem. Because again, it's not like, and we live happily ever after. We still have problems about education, and we still have issues with universities that are trying to make this a business in different ways, by buying or selling buildings and renting them and etc., you know. But the point is, this idea that there should be quotas, it's bullshit. It's just pure BS. Wrap it up and take it away, throw it away, sorry. Throw it away from you and from everyone you know, and start fighting for the right things and the right causes, which are ensuring that you have the quality education that you need to succeed in life. Because the reality is, the truth is, nobody gives a fuck, and nobody's going to give you a quota, and no one deserves a quota just based on your gender, on your race, on your sexuality, or whatever. That's like going out and saying, oh, but I want quotas for curly hair people because there are not enough curly hair in this university. That's nonsense. That's the same. Because if I guarantee you a quota just because the color of your skin, that means that maybe someone who really deserves to be there is not going to get to be there. Because you're taking that space and you don't deserve it. It's just petty. And probably you're not gonna get too much out of it anyways. So educate yourself and fight for it, because honestly, what I'm seeing out there is like you don't even have high quality teachers. And the very few, not that they don't exist, but the very few quality teachers are very underpaid, they have tons of work, and they're getting kicked out for speaking and teaching reality, truth, logic, and reason, which is nonsense. Nonsense. So that would be all for today's video. Thank you guys for being here. I very much appreciate it. I hope you consider to do the YouTube things. If you're gonna do anything at all, please leave a comment down below, share your experience. If you're a teacher, that would be awesome. Talk about this, what's going on in your country, do you know the curriculum of your country? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? As I always say, I want to talk about these things. I think it's necessary, but you cannot dialogue in an empty room. You would only echo. So thank you again so much for sticking out with me. I am going to get better at doing these videos, I promise. I just don't have much time, but I do feel like we need to talk. So thank you very much again. Love you guys. See you in the next one. Bye.